Welcome to the channel Alcohol Free. I'm Happy Tom, and I'm here today to discuss the topic of several ways to help addictions. These are common sense ways and something that basically everyone should do, regardless of whether or not they have addictions. These are just common sense ways to live a healthy life. Now, most people, when they face alcohol, can use it or leave it alone. When they educate themselves and find out that, number one, alcohol is the most dangerous drug in the world, and number two, the only safe level of alcohol to drink for optimum health is 0 drinks a day. 0 standard drinks a day, but just don't drink alcohol. Most people, when they become convinced of those things and decide to quit alcohol, it's not a big thing. They just switch to water or iced tea or Diet Coke or something like that, and it's not a big deal. Now, some people, it's a little harder, but if they make adjustments in their lifestyle, then they can stay off the booze. Now, other people, that's a very challenging thing, and they basically can't get off of booze. They're the people that end up in treatment centers. They're the people that end up in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or Cocaine Anonymous. So they are having a much bigger problem. Regardless of whether or not you're what's called a normie or a heavy drinker that's not an alcoholic or an alcoholic or drug addict, these are simple things to do that you should just apply in your life regardless of your problem. Now, there's no definite known reason as to why people have addictions. In AA, they believe that alcoholism is an allergy of the body coupled with an obsession of the mind, resulting in a spiritual malady. Now, each of those, you can have a long talk. Now, a lot of people believe that there's a primary cause, a reason that you drink or use drugs, and they expend a lot of energy trying to find that primary cause, the causative factor. And when they find that, then their life becomes a miracle. And I don't doubt that happens. One of the most important things I've discovered is that, number one, we are all unique individuals. There's no one like us in all of the universe in all time. There's no one like me in all time. I have fingerprints that are definitely me. And the other thing is that these problems in life, medical problems or mental problems or addictions, they're all incredibly complex. We don't have the answers. We just don't. We're starting to get a glimpse of it and starting to understand it, but it's way more complicated than we ever thought. I believe that people that if they try to overcome an addiction by themselves are going to have a very hard time. Now, I went to a meeting today and people talked about how they naturally want to be by themselves. They want to isolate, and then they start to have problems with their emotions and their thinkings. So one thing that we can all do is force ourselves or just go do it and join a support group. That's why I go to AA. A lot of people get sober and overcome their addictions in a church, and other people found or join other support groups. It is very hard to get clean and sober by yourself. The other thing that is very helpful is to find what's called a sponsor. Now, I really don't buy into the concept of sponsorship, although I've had 5 or 6 in my life. What one of my sponsors told me is he would not be my sponsor. He said, however, he would be my great good friend. And so you have to find someone of the same sex that you can be very closer to. When you're in a support group, you don't share a lot of stuff that you could talk about with another person. You could be more detailed. And really in a group, you shouldn't be as transparent. You shouldn't share a lot of things that are going on in your life. But these so-called secrets, these problems that we carry around with us, it's good if we have someone that we can talk to about that, someone that's been clean and sober for a period of time and has faced those battles. Another thing is to learn about our thoughts and our emotions. There's an excellent book titled You Are Not Your Thoughts. And there's another one titled You Are Not Your Emotions. And that is very true. My emotions or thoughts do not define me. They're fleeting things that come and go. And so we have to experience those, but we have to go through those and don't let those control our lives. Another thing that is sometimes helpful that I've never really done is called exposure therapy. It's more of a psychological thing, and we face things that we fear, and if we fear holding an object, then we touch that object and we have a graded exposure to it. That may be very helpful, but it does bring up the fact that a lot of times people in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, they have other problems in addition to their addiction. These are called comorbidities, things like PTSD, OCD, debilitating depression, or anxiety. And these are psychological and mental problems, emotional problems that cannot be dealt with in group therapy, that you require an individual therapist. Now, a lot of times it takes a while to find someone that you mesh with, but a lot of times that's what is necessary. The other thing to remember is if you're in these support groups, they cannot treat medical problems, they cannot treat financial problems, they cannot treat legal problems. So don't be afraid to get outside help, to search for things, find out what's bothering you. Like if you're poor all the time, well, you need to find out why that is and then seek help to solve that problem. You may find someone that's a friend in AA that can help you with those problems, or you may require specialized help. It's good to become aware of things that trigger you. I firmly believe that may be helpful, but what I recommend instead is to become aware of the realities of alcohol. Alcohol is a dangerous drug, the most dangerous drug in the world. It has numerous negative aspects to it. There is no benefit from drinking alcohol. So we have to decide, and we need to decide we're not going to drink alcohol no matter what, and we're going to avoid it. We're not going to make it a beautiful thing where you remember all the wonderful things when we were drunk and with buddies and we had all these parties. And that's been shown to be very common in alcoholism, is that people romanticize the drug that's destroying their life. And then the other thing they do is lessen the negative things that happen from the use of it. So that's a thing that we can do. We can write about it. Now, another thing that's very helpful is to work. Sounds crazy, but a lot of people, when they become so debilitated from alcoholism or their addiction that they don't have a purpose in life, that they're just hanging on. But to find a passion in life and to start to work is very vital. Another thing that I recommend is to stay away from people that can rob your sobriety. Avoid toxic people. People that if you have alcoholism and you go around people and they think that they should drink around you, I do not consider them to be your friend. You're allergic to alcohol, so stay away from those people. I had a gentleman that told me, he said he's only got 35 days of sobriety and he's been coming around Alcoholics Anonymous for 15 years. And he says, I do socialize with people who drink and smoke marijuana. I don't think that that's the proper thing to do for sobriety. I'm 40 years sober, and I do not hang around people who drink, and surely I don't hang around people that use drugs. I hang around clean and sober people, and I have plenty of friends. It may help some people to journal. I've found that a more beneficial thing is to do something called expressive writing. We'll have a a video about expressive writing. But basically what you do is you get a piece of paper and a pen and you write down whatever in your thoughts and emotion. Just write it down for 10 or 15 minutes. And then at the end of the session, destroy the piece of paper. Don't read it. Don't try to evaluate it. Don't keep it in a book. Just get rid of it. That's a way of tapping into your subconscious. Another thing that's helpful is to meditate. And the meditation is very simple. There's 250 different ways of meditating. I like to do Christian meditation as I am a Christian. And what I do is I think deeply and am quiet about some Bible verse. Or I also think about God, Christ, and how he's in my life. And I'll pray, I'll ask, and then I'll listen. Doing some sort of physical exercise like yoga or any type of movement is good. Going for a walk, doing a garden, doing something to be busy and to use your physical body. To change emotions and thinking, you can't change thinking and emotions by thinking. The best way to change them is to take action, to move. Now, the next recommended way of dealing with addictions is to change your diet. Alcoholics develop the worst diet in the world, and they eat a lot of prepared processed food, lots of sugar, lots of ice cream. They're oftentimes nutritionally deficient in minerals, so you need to start eating a healthy diet. And there's a large number of people that provides excellent education about a healthy diet. It's basically eating no more than 3 meals a day and eating real foods. Don't eat processed foods, no foods that have sugar or products that are like sugar, like flour, stuff like that. Another thing that's more complicated is to fix the gut. There's a big topic now about the gut, how the gut influences the brain and the liver. And what is in the gut is the microbiome. It's in its infancy. A lot of people think that they know a lot about it, but it's just in its infancy. So it's something to consider. And, eating probiotics and studying that may be helpful. As I mentioned, taking movement, exercising. When you're young, you can really exercise. I recommend not overdoing it. There's a guy online, his name's Clarence Bass. He has a website, cbass.com. And he recommends the best exercise is walking. And he walks 60 to 90 minutes a day in hilly areas. One day a week, he lifts heavy weights. And another day, he does what's called high-intensity interval training. All those things can help because when you get healthier and fitter, you're able to have a better mind and a better body. Now, a very important topic that I'm just learning about is getting adequate sleep. What I read about today is it's very important to be in an absolutely dark room. Now, I haven't done that. But tonight I'm starting to go to bed at 10. I'm going to listen to music that will calm me and help me to go to sleep and be in that really dark room, because having the light in the room affects what's called our circadian rhythm. And that's vital. The circadian rhythm is being studied intensively, but we're just learning the importance of that. Alcohol damages the circadian rhythm. And so it takes a while to build up normal, natural sleep. But if we sleep better, we will eat better, we'll be happier, we'll be saner, and we'll be able to lead a successful life in helping other people. Now, that's the end of my talk for today. I appreciate you listening. Now, all these are common sense things, but a lot of times it takes a long time to figure out how to apply them in our lives. I ask that you consider subscribing, that you leave a comment, tell a friend, and come back for our next video on alcohol free.